All right, we are live across 3 different platforms. Hello, I am Lily McNamara with Lily of the Light, and we are doing a special series of readings today live of the DC Tarot deck. So it's this tarot deck I got was gifted to me by my fabulous friend Nikki, who is a specialist in Illumination Tarot. And the reason we are doing this is because enough of you wanted like the fandom geeky tarot readings, and so we are absolutely doing this. So the first reading we are going to do, as obviously with superheroes, is the villain. And in most things, you are the villain of your own story, just like you're the hero of your own story. And what is your villain? Your shadow self, your ego, and how is it cock blocking you from your own happiness? So we have 3 cards we're going to draw about the villain, your shadow self, discovering what your shadow self looks like. Let's take a look at that. The cards are still very new. They're still a little sticky. It's awesome. All right, so we have, come here. There we go. We have the Chariot. So what does your shadow self look like? Your shadow self looks like, with the DC Tarot deck, that you like it gives the illusion of moving forward. Your shadow self constantly tells you, yes, you're doing well, and then it'll give you a very realistic reason why you're doing so well. So that's what your shadow self, the villain, that is actually cock blocking you from success. Hello, Leslie. How you doing, baby? And if you join us, please feel free to say hi. I am very interactive with the people watching, or at least I try to be. So your ego likes to tell you, oh my God, yes, you're doing great. Look at you moving forward. You're not. It's lying. It's lying to you. Next, we have the Page of Pentacles. Your shadow self steals from you. So Page is messages, and Pentacles is very earthbound. So what can your ego, what can the villain of your story steal from you? Time. And sometimes money. Like if you're impulsive with spending, that is your ego, that is your shadow self. Really look at that. What it's stealing is very earthbound things. It's stealing your friendships and your relationships. It's stealing your time. And so how to identify what the villain, your shadow self, is? It is something that's constantly telling you you are moving forward when you're actually not. You're stalled. It is something that is constantly taking from you. So if you feel limited or lack in your life, that's the villain. That's your ego. That is not Batman. That is the Joker fucking with you. So make sure that you are aware of those things. And lastly, the Hierophant. So I always tell people, when you're trying to figure out your ego, the villain of your story, hello, Carla, it's, hi, Jazz. It's, the ego is smart and cunning. It's a real bitch, if we're being totally honest. It's got the ability to justify and use logic to make you think you knowing, again, like you're moving forward with the Chariot. Now, the Hierophant is all about like actually knowing what's best and having structure. And it's this lie that because you have structure, you obviously are doing the right thing. Let me be clear. Organized crime is structured. It don't mean it's right. So look at it that way. When you're trying to discover what your shadow self actually is, it is the Chariot telling you you are moving forward. It's the Page of Pentacles stealing your planetary time and friends and finances from you. And it is the Hierophant with structure giving you the illusion that everything is okay. So that is how you're going to discover your shadow self. Those are attributes of the villain of your story. So let's look how to embrace your shadow self. Now, I teach a little bit differently than other teachers because that's just who I am, and rock your authentic self at all times. I believe that every part of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, warts and all, are a part of you. And you need to embrace all parts of you. And so like while your ego, like it's not a pretty part, I'm going to be honest, it's not a pretty part. It's not bad. It's just something you have to handle and maintain. And having this is a really important part of existence. I always tell people I dance with my demons. I am perfectly comfortable with them. I have tea with the skeletons in my closet, and I am absolutely best friends with the monster under my bed. I think that every aspect of your life, good, bad, and ugly, is an aspect of your life for a reason. So let's see how you can embrace your shadow self, how you can make this work for you, how this is something that can add to your life instead of subtract. Remember, you're the hero of your own story. You can construct the reality you want. So let's take a look at that. All right. How to embrace your shadow self is the Three of Swords. You are never, ever, ever giving it more power than it has. When people are like, oh my God, I'm controlled by my ego, I'm controlled by my shadow self, you are allowing it to control you. Take some deep breaths, feel empowered. You're doing great. And so make sure that when you embrace your shadow self, you're also not giving it more power than it needs. It's not up here. You're up here. It's down here and just like an annoying poodle type thing. Next is the King of Cups. How to embrace your shadow self is to remember that your shadow self, your ego, your villain does in some way serve a purpose. You may not understand the purpose, and the purpose may not be effective for your life's path, but it actually does have a purpose. And so look at it. One of the things my shadow self actually did when I was much younger and started training and then started seeing clients was I thought I was epic and awesome. And I am epic and awesome. But when that comes from a place of ego instead of empowerment, that's really toxic to be around. And quite frankly, annoying. Yes, I was. And so, but my ego doing that, my shadow self, my villain doing that, making me annoying and making me just obnoxious, I was able to learn the lesson of humility. And then I was able to feel empowered to actually feel awesome from my authentic self instead of from ego, sending out that mask. And it's like, I am amazing. We've all seen it on reality shows, that one like weird person who has their life like gone to shit and they sit there and they think they're like the best thing since sliced bread. No. So remember that with the King of Cups, there's lessons to be learned. There's things that you can learn from your ego and your shadow self that you can't learn from anything else. So take a step back, look at the whole situation, get some perspective, and go at it from that way. Lastly, we have the Queen of Swords. So, how to embrace your shadow self, the villain of your story. The Queen of Swords is very distant, very analytical, and it's being able, so embracing doesn't mean like give it a hug and like make it your whole life. Look at it, disengage from your ego and look at it. Again, it's that perspective. Once you have perspective, it's like, oh, that's what it is. I need humility or I need self-care. Because let's be honest, there's not one person watching, there's not one person in this country who has ever gone, oh my God, I need help, when they actually need help. A lot of people, it's, I got it. Every single person, I got it. Don't worry, I got it. That's ego. That's your shadow self. That is that little hobgoblin in your head going, you don't need anybody. You'll be fine. You're not fine. Take a break. Ask someone for help. That is the villain. The villain is telling you that you are okay when you are not. The villain is telling you that you don't need a break. Bitch, you do. You do. Everybody needs a break. No one is superhuman in this situation. We all need sleep. And so Jas asks, how do you distinguish between the two? Between like your shadow self and ego, or between like your shadow self and like your authentic self? Shadow self and ego, we're using as synonyms, so I'm hoping it's not that one. With your authentic self, it's strange, but it honestly just takes time and self-discovery. I would love to say that there is a meditation, a technique, a practice that can get it, but really it's learning who you are as a person. And the more you do self-discovery and have gentle curiosity without judgment. Ego has judgment. Jas, ego is, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm probably not. I am so sorry. I suck at names. I called someone Blake for 3 months and the name is Blaine. Damn it. I was so close. I felt so bad. So ego will have judgment with it. Empowerment won't. So I am high king shit at what I do. And I don't have any judgment with that because I have done years and years and years of training. For those who know me know that I am always trying to learn more and do more and to help my clients in the best way possible. And that is from empowerment. When I was younger and it was from ego, it's like, oh yeah, I got this. I started young. Think of the dude bros from high school, the ones who are like, yeah, I ain't king shit. That is your ego. That is a perfect representation of what ego would be. So thank you so much for your question between ego and empowerment. So that is how you would embrace your shadow self, the villain of your story. So now let's look at the last one here, and you can thank my mother for these questions. She talked to me yesterday, and she was like, I want to learn more about my shadow self. And I was like, all right, do you want me to do readings? And a bunch of you guys commented on a post that I did on Instagram and Facebook saying what tarot decks of mine you like the most. And while almost everyone, the fan favorite is the Witch's Tarot. It has the triple moon. It's very pretty. Most people like that. No judgment. It's a fan favorite. All of my geeky and nerdy clients and followers were like, I want superheroes. And I do have a superhero deck because I am that person. I have superhero decks. I have a Tweety Bird pillow with an eyeline. I am that geeky weirdo that I am so happy. Look at the hat. I mean, it says it all right there. So I was planning on doing a live for my geeky weirdos anyway, because freaks and geeks must unite to have the best life possible. We do so well in groups as long as we have distance with the introvertedness of us all. So I was going to do a reading with the DC deck anyway. And then my mom asked me to work on shadow with everybody, because that's something that everyone wants to know about, but a lot of readers are too scared to talk about because it is a messy topic and because it can be misconstrued and because so many people think that shadow and ego mean bad and evil. Those are not synonyms. Those are never synonyms. Remember, dance with your demons, have tea with the monsters. It is all going to be okay. Now, how do you work with your shadow self? So we've talked about how to discover, and then we talked about how to embrace. Now, how do you work with your shadow self? All right. Here we go. Oh, we've got some repeat cards. So repeat cards are great. We love those. All right. We have, let me look at this, the Six of Pentacles. Now, I love this deck, but as you all know, I am geeky and nerdy, and I do love superheroes. So the DC deck has a lot of Green Lantern. That's what, I'll hold it up. That's what a lot of, like, that's what the rings are. They're the Green Lantern rings. I really wish they had Green Arrow in it. That is my only critique about this deck. I love this deck, but it does not have Green Arrow. And I love Oliver Queen. He is the shit. So that's my one critique about this fabulous deck, is that I don't get any Green Arrow. I just get Green Lantern, who I think is overrated. That's right. Send letters. I don't care. I have my opinion. All right. So got on a tangent, how to work with your shadow self, your villain. The Six of Pentacles is all about giving. So when your shadow self, when your ego, when your villain comes up, the worst thing you can do is ignore it. People seem to think that if you ignore things, they will go away. No, this is just like trauma. This is just like toxic behavior. You do not ignore it and it goes away. You have to continue to examine it. Again, gentle curiosity. There is no judgment. We are all toxic fucks at least one aspect of our life. And if anyone says like, no, I am genuine light and love everywhere. No, like, we're all doing the best we can, but none of us are perfect. Let's be honest. So the Six of Pentacles is all about giving when it's appropriate. I don't mean like giving power to your ego and your villain. I mean giving them attention and acknowledging that aspect of your life so that you can work on it in a healthy and safe and respectful way. Absolutely work with your shadow self, healthy, safe, respectful at all times. Three of Swords. Remember, this came up before. So Three of Swords has come up again. And I shuffle. You all hear me shuffle the deck. I shuffle very well. So when we have repeat cards, it means that something big is going to happen. So with working with your shadow self, your ego, your villain, remember that it's not meant to be all-consuming. It's meant to be done in incremental stages. It's not meant to be overwhelming. And it's also not meant to be an excuse. So if you are using your shadow self as an excuse, that is your shadow self coming forward. That is your ego coming forward. I have met many spiritual people who say, oh, that was my shadow self coming through. And then they walk out of the room. It's like, hey, bitch, hey, whether it's shadow self or your highest soul power, you still were a twat. Look at that, okay? So always be very honest with yourself. This is not about other people. This is about yourself when you are coming from your shadow self. And that does not absolve you of responsibility. That is something that you have to look at. So make sure that you look at it and that you have gentle awareness about it. It is not an excuse to be a twat. It is still you. You are still you. You are not a different person. It's just a facet of you that you may not like very much or that's causing you problems. And lastly, how to work with your shadow self, your villain, your ego is the Chariot. Again, we have another repeat. Gotta love those repeat cards. So the Chariot, who in this is the Flash, who is a cocky character, and I love very much in all the TV shows that he does, both cartoon and real life and live action. Love them both. So how to work with the villain of your life through the Chariot is to not get distracted. So the Chariot is about moving forward in success as long as you're not distracted. And so when you're working with your shadow self, commit to some time. Commit to like it's not like, oh, I'm going to do this and do Sudoku and try and like work my job. No. And it doesn't have to be long periods of time, but really commit to not being distracted when you look at and work with and acknowledge and embrace your shadow self, your villain. Make sure that you're giving yourself that space. And it does not have to be a long time. I don't care if it's a few minutes. You take a few minutes and just go, take a few deep breaths and realize I was a real twat with this. And I'm guessing that's my ego. And how can we work with this? And then look at it. And again, when working with your shadow self, with your ego, with your villain, remember, there is no place for judgment. If you have done things in the past that are shady, I don't know you. I don't know your life story. And so don't let anyone judge you, even if they're a healer. Like, we're not supposed to judge as we talk to you. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're going through, don't judge what you're doing. Hold yourself accountable. Be responsible for your actions at all times. But don't beat yourself up because you're not perfect. We are all learning and we are all doing the best we can. And let's be honest, sometimes that is a messy situation. No shame, no judgment, gentle curiosity, non-judgmental stance. That is how you want to go through it, and it'll be fabulous. So that is the shadow self reading with the DC deck again. So this was a gift from my colleague Nikki, who is the specialist in Illumination Tarot. I squealed really loud when I unwrapped it. She wrapped it and gave it to me at a restaurant, and I squealed really loud because I am that geek that freaks out over fandom stuff, and it makes me super happy. And so this was the reading. If you guys want any other kind of themed readings, let me know. I am totally open to your suggestions. I am here to help you. I am here to do what you need. It's not about other people. It's not about me and my ego. I try to keep my ego out of this as much as possible. Unless I'm judging superheroes, then you betcha I am a little shit about it. But that's my right. I get to have my opinions about superheroes. So it's about being able to give you guys what you need, whatever that is, and in any way that I'm capable. If I'm capable of it, I will absolutely do it. If I'm not capable of it, I hopefully know someone who is, and then I will point you in the right direction. So remember, your shadow self is the villain, but it's not something that you have to be afraid of or avoid. It is just something that you're going to work with. Go forth, be badasses, make sure that you're the hero of your own story. And if you ever want to chat or schedule a session or anything like that, link in the bio across all social media. You guys know how it works. We're all fairly good at social media now. Like, follow, share, do whatever you feel comfortable to get the word out about your shadow selves, and go forth and rock your own life. Bye.